decision. Any input from the audience? Mr. O'Leary?
Just a question on commercial industrial assessed valuations, how you do it. Do you do actually do a cash flow analysis, discounted cash flow on the information that you get, expenses, value of the property based on that? Plus, if you don't get something from a property owner, you use your best judgment.
I don't use my best judgment.
What do you use?
Well, what I would do is, and again, I'm gonna explain the fact that I have to segregate it for office space, because retail space would yield a different price per square foot, a different vacancy rate, well, the expenses would be similar, but not exactly the same. So I would have enough data for, just say, office space, that I could put that same rent for someone who didn't comply with my letter.
What are you using for a cap rate?
Right now, we're at 9.85, no tax factor.
And then as far as,
Steve, can you just speak up a little better?
As far as some information with that in regard to the elderly and their ability to write it off, if a senior citizen doesn't itemize their tax deductions, again, they have the option of doing that.
That's
to
correct.
qualify enough.
That's right.
Generally, they would take the standard deduction because it's more advantageous, which would exceed the value if they itemize their deduction and took their property taxes. So they are still deriving a benefit and have a choice.
Yes,
So the standard deduction, for those that take the standard, is a better option than itemizing if they took into consideration the property tax. So the seniors are actually getting more of a benefit by taking the standard deduction than itemizing. So
he's
it isn't-
correct.
So that's not necessarily true, they don't get the benefit, they actually get a greater benefit by taking the standard deduction than itemizing.
They get no
If
write-off
that's-
at all, at the high.
Because they took the standard deduction.
But the standard
The standard
deduction
deduction
is
is
still a
better than the
deduction.
What he's saying is,
The
yeah,
standard
depending
deduction
on
is
the
better than the
house.
write-off. They have the option of taking the itemizing their return, but it wouldn't be to their benefit. It's to their benefit to take the standard deduction.
But even the middle class, I mean, the middle class person, they're not gonna get anything.
They do it.
I think someone else had their hand raised.
I just have a question. I think I hear,
Could you come up?
I'm sorry?
Name and address for the record.
Doug Mercurio, 280 Main Street. My question is, I think I'm hearing two different interpretations of the same process, and I guess I'm unclear as to which is an accurate interpretation. The forms that were sent to businesses, the profit and loss, I believe the way I picked up from your presentation is that that the information is aggregated. So you're using that for the purposes of the overall picture. I believe, at least how I interpreted Mr. Prisco's response, was that it was, if my personal business is down, I can go in looking to lower my taxes. I just want to clarify which one is the correct interpretation.
Well, in my office, the way I explained it is, as I just said, we take the overall. We receive the income and expense forms that are returned to our office, which is getting better and better every year. And I know.
For the record, yeah.
And what we do is we analyze them. We break them down by use, we break them down by location, and we break them down by size. Because obviously, if you have a retail space that's 2,000 square feet, but you have something at 280 Park Street that's, 500 square feet, you're not gonna get that balance.
But it's
of
not-
price per square foot. It's aggregated between.
Okay, so the form is for the aggregate analysis, not for individual businesses.
Not
Okay.
individual at all.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Thank you.
Department of Revenue would have my head.
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Steele?
Yes, Ms. Carboni, I just want to make sure I understood something. You said in my office, we do it,
Very possessive.
okay? Well, is that as opposed to someone else's office? Can they do it differently? Is that what you're saying? That kind of threw me there for a little bit of a loop.
No. The Mass General Law is the Mass General Law, and all assessors have to follow that procedure. Some, and I'm not gonna get into specifics, but we have a guideline. Some assessors may take it a little bit further and calculate things a little differently, maybe sort the data a little smaller. If you're in the city of Quincy, that data is gonna get sorted much different than if you're in the town of North Reading. And that's just what I meant by that. And
I
more
guess-
of a sorting in a defining field. The methodology is the same, process is the same.
It sounds like you're saying that you can take a certain amount of data and decide which you want to use. I guess that's what's confusing me here a little bit. And I don't want the public to think that, well, I do it this way and someone else does it that way. I want to make sure that the public understands what you're really saying is that you follow Mass General Law. So,
I definitely follow Mass General law.
She's been
Yes.
very clear about her using the DOR and everything.
I-
think you've been very clear.
Any other questions from the audience?
Just in relation to the
Mr.
specific-
O'Leary.
The specific parcel up here on, the Stop and Shop is,
Yes, 271 Main Street.
they're paying well above market rates for the rent space. Take into consideration what they're going to assess, because the owners of that property are, again, benefiting significantly from the above market rate Stop and Shop is paying.
That property, actually, Stop and Shop moved in there on November 19th, 2010. So that data actually will go online with their rental information for 2013. So I do have that in my radar. As far as forcing them to give me information, I can't do that. But there are other means of obtaining it. There's plenty of strip malls around that have similarities to that I can take their rental information. For instance, I have Market Basket over in Middleton. I have their, that I can use as a comparable to them. So if we don't have their specific, then we can obtain it through a comparable property.
My suggestion is to make your best guess at it, because whatever you think it is, it's higher. And they'll come in and look for an abatement and have to produce the documentation.
Oh,
No, really, because they're,
Yes.
honestly, what they've done is they've priced everybody else in that strip mall almost out of business.
I've
They
talked to
paid the-
some of the patrons over there, yes.
I think it's important that's a consideration in relation to, conversely, where they should be paying more as a result of the incomes being derived from that.
And I do, well, I shouldn't keep saying the board, we do make every full-fledged effort to make sure that our commercial and industrial property is at full and fair cash value. As a matter of fact, one of the other things that we do to be a little more proactive as opposed to reactive is when we do establish the values for our top 10 taxpayers, so that we don't get into a situation with a huge abatement somewhere, we do contact them and we sit down and we go through numbers. I sat down with 3 of them this year, and we went back and forth and back and forth, and, I'm not one to give up on it, because you know what, they are a business, and let me tell you, I do understand the fact that they are in a community with a single tax rate, and that's a benefit. And I do see that, and I do know that. So I'm,
I don't buy it. I'm a businessman, I've been in business for 20 years. This whole split, because whether we had a split tax rate or not, whether they're gonna move this town, I believe it has no bearing. I really don't. I've talked to other business owners, and they own businesses all around these communities. And just take the 23 surrounding communities around us. There's only 4 of us that don't have it. Okay? Everybody else has a split tax rate. So I don't really
did
buy
you
into
look
what
at
you're saying.
what their commercial and industrial levy base was? What,
We did a
and what
presentation
was
to
the
this board 2 years ago.
percentages? I went online to see if any were certified, but none of them have been certified yet.
I don't have that with me, but I will send it to you.
I would be, and.
Deb, answer that though.
Yeah.
Why? 23 other surrounding communities, have
Because
split tax
their,
rates and we don't.
because their
It's
CIP
not her
levy
decision.
I'm just
is,
asking her.
Board.
their,
I'm asking her about
their
it, to get her
C,
opinion. I'm not
Oh,
trying to
okay.
challenge her.
Okay.
I'm just
our,
curious. What's
our
your opinion?
CIP levy is 7%, right? Their CIP level is probably more in the range of 29, 27, somewhere around there. And that's, and I'm assuming you're talking Wilmington, I'm assuming you're talking, I mean, give me a few towns in
All
I
the
can-
surrounding towns,
North Andover. I mean,
Wilmington,
they're
Andover,
commercial
North
based,
Andover,
seriously?
Danvers, Peabody, Linfield, Wakefield, Saugus.
But how could we compare, just take Danvers? How could we compare the tax levy that the CIP yields in the town of Danvers compared to the town of North Reading? How could we do that?
Okay, that may be a fair one, but how do we do it, how do they do it over in Wilmington? I mean,
Wilmington, again, you're talking a significant tax base levy. You've got,
It's about a 60/40 split.
they have a significant tax CIP levy.
you know what, hold on, let me look at my, because I'll give you one, because I went through all this, and I don't have it with me, but,
He'll find one, that's what he means, he'll find one.
No, but
Those 360-something
but it's a-
communities, he'll find one.
hey, no, but she asked a question.
All right, let's
51.
not get out of control.
Actually.
No, I'll give you one, hold on, that's very close to us,
While
okay?
he's looking, Mr. Carucci,
Can I move up to the podium?
Yes.
certainly.
Thank you.
All right, I have them right here, Deb, I do have them.
More of a statement to the board.
You know, I'll use my business address, which is 290 Main Street, North Reading. I am in the oil business, and I am also in the gasoline business. Now, 4 of you gentlemen are in business. One is not. And the reason I bring it up is I let it rest for about a month. When the Board of Selectmen decide that they want to make a statement, they want to set policy for businesses on pricing, telling us that we're gouging the public, or we're cheating the public. I don't think that's fair. Mr. Prisco says we have an advantage in business. We get write-offs. You make statements like that, you put me out of business. I mean, you gotta think about that.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. You don't think that statement was wrong
No, I don't.
from this board, telling us we're gouging the
I never
public?
I don't think I ever said, did I say gouging tonight? I'm sorry.
Well,
if I
what did the
I-
transcript have in there?
I never, I can never imagine I said you gouging anything on anything.
Was it in the transcript? Was it in the transcript?
Wasn't my words, never came from me.
Talking about the gas prices?
Yes.
That was me on the head.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think
I'm
it was
sorry,
related to one particular,
I never used the word gouging.
I know who it was.
it was
Well, you just said
directed
it, Mr. You just directed it to me, Mr. Cruz.
No, what I'm getting to is the point you talk about how businesses have write-offs and they have this advantage. You people will put me out of business with that one statement. All right?
Mr. Carucci, we have 87% of the people that pay taxes in this town are residents.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Okay, I know you are. I know you are. And we have to, when we set this tax rate, we have to think of everybody.
That's right.
And you do have advantages as a business owner that residents don't have. That has to come into effect. We also have all these surrounding towns, which, by the way, I do have your information, that have split tax rates. Towns like Stoneham, which is only 89% of Stoneham is residential. They have a split tax rate. North Andover, 88%. Lynn, 88%. Methuen, 87%. Wakefield, 86%. North Reading, 87%. So I'm not asking us to do something all these other towns that are very similar to us. But you want their tax rates? I can tell you where they all are compared to you.
Can I finish?
Okay, from a community-
Can I finish? Then I'll go sit down, okay? My point being is that I'm in business. I try to be an honest businessman, all right? You gentlemen in the press that crucify us. The 3 little independent gas stations that are in the town. Hey, take that into consideration when you talk about you ruined my business. All right?
Fair statement, Mr.
All right,
Carucci.
that's
I
it.
agree with you in regards to the gas business. But getting back to, there's your question, Deb, okay? There's the towns you asked for that are surrounded just with us.
I didn't actually ask for I just said, can you give me a name?
I gave it.